Smaller fish, having ingested plastic, tends to be buoyant in that they are not able to dive down into the ocean because of that light material in their stomach.
Julie Church, the conservationist who founded Ocean Soul, got inspired after a visit to the Kenyan coastline in 1997.
She noticed that a lot of kids were making toys out of discarded flip-flops, and from there she got an idea that she could actually replicate the same model.
Now the team collects and carves more than 700,000 flip-flops a year. And the Pope himself was presented with an elephant carving when he visited Kenya in 2015.
So this is the gift that I hope will accompany you on your...
Okay, an amazing morning to you, Paul. It's so good to have you join to this session of the advanced training of the Africa SDG Mentorship Program. My name is Emmanuel Olaoluoyo, and I'll be moderating today's session. Yeah, good morning, Mohammed from Ethiopia. So good to have you. How are you all doing this morning? I hope this Saturday morning has been a restful one and it's coming up well for you. Yeah, you can use the comment section, you can use the chat session to just share greetings with each other. So this morning we are moving straight to today's session, after which maybe at the end of today's training session, we are going to have some brief information session to get to discuss about the basic activities which we are currently doing and planning towards. And I would like to confirm, I'm trying to see if, okay, let me check again if she's on the call. Okay, all right. So I would just like to start with that very briefly. Earlier this week, I believe we all received an email containing information about the book for the month and some whole other activities. If you started reading the book, I want to see your hands up. You can just use a virtual hand up. If you started reading the book, and I would like one or two people to also share what they've gained as regards the book. Oh, awesome. I can see someone's hand. Why are you dropping your hand again? Is that a confirmation you started reading it? All right, essay, very good. Who else has started reading the book? I want to see hands up. It's very important. TechnoSpark. This is not a name. This is a phone name. This is a phone device name. This is not your name. Ensure your display name starts with your country name and moving ahead with your first name and your last name. Good. That's awesome, Mustafa. I can see your hand up. Okay. Doesn't mean that the rest of us on this call have not started reading that book. I need to, at least out of 47 people on this call, there is an appreciable number which are expecting to see. Okay. I can see more hands up now. I can see more hands up. Or is it that we didn't get the information? Okay, is there anyone that would like to share one or two things they've learned from that book so far? And the management they actually made it very easy for you to, I think it's a book of 8 chapters, which if you don't want to read, you can listen to. And personally, I like listening to books. Imagine if I'm reading it, it might take like 2 weeks. And if I'm listening to it, it won't take more than 8 hours or 10 hours for me to listen to it. So I would like to ask, is there anyone that would like to share what they've learned so far, the learnings on the book? What is your... Okay, for those of us that have raised their hand, I want to see, Ese, would you like to go first? Would you like to share with us what your learning moment has been on that book?
Good morning. My name is Ese Ogene from Lagos, Nigeria. I actually find this book very fascinating because I'm actually the head of a department, and when I delegate responsibility, so I don't really get mad, but I just go ahead and do it, and I nurse this annoyance in my heart, like, oh, this person is not responsible, doesn't want to step up, and all of those things. But reading this book this week made me realize that everybody actually have their own reason why they are not doing probably well in their field, and I could have done better by going a step further to ask, oh, why didn't this person do this thing? What's the reason behind it? So, and I'm talking about the chapter 1, which says, do not condemn, do not criticize. And I think I learned a lot from, I actually learned a lot from that chapter, which has actually directed me, or will I say directed or encouraged or taught me how to move on with handling people in my department, and then probably, going a step further and actually really caring more, show empathy and all of that. And then there was a part that it said something about how to make people do what they ought to do. You don't compel people to do what, to do your bidding, but you can actually motivate them to do it. So that actually also taught me something, that it's actually all about motivation, showing care and empathy and all of that. So yeah, that's
amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, getting to motivate people, encourage them, never give up on people. Yeah, the worst person you see today can be the greatest asset for you tomorrow on a particular project. So that's so good to hear. And I would like to ask, is there any other person that would like to say something? And I can see Mustafa, would you like to say something about the book? You said you read it. You can unmute your mic and speak, Mustafa. Mustafa or Muhammad, you can unmute your mic and speak if you'd like to say something about the book.
Good morning, sir, and good morning, my respectable colleagues. As I have been directed by you, sir, to briefly explain what I have understood through reading this book, this important book you have provided for us. So based on my understanding, I have started with chapter 1, as one of my colleagues have said. Where it's 8 things that the book will help a person or an individual to achieve something or to achieve different somethings. So I have carefully followed some of the 8 points where I have understood that, or I find that book will help an individual to increase his popularity. This means that if we are carefully read the book, it's a book that will help as an individual concerned to become popular than you are before. Then in the book, I have realized that the book will help. According to the book, you will know how to treat a friend, you know how to conduct the trade transaction, either
awesome.
and so on and so forth. And so okay.
Great one, Mustafa, and so amazing. You are doing well and also studying well. Shinazo, would you like to say something about the book?
Yes, everybody started with chapter 1. Me, I started with the reason why we will read Carnegie, because that's where when I downloaded it, where it started. So the first statement he made was how to win friends in business and in everything that we are doing. So he talks about communication, that sometimes we don't communicate well. And there's an example there. He showed when a statement is being made, how we interpret it differently. And sometimes we don't get the main thing that we need to communicate. So he said that when you need people to do something, be precise. Say that thing you want them to do. Don't beat about the bush. I've not entered chapter 1. Is what Carnegie said. That's where I finished. I started it when they sent the book. I had to start from there. I said I will be taking it every day, but work will not allow someone. But I know that I will finish it.
Yeah.
So it's about communication. Yes.
Communication. communication. That's very good, amazing. You know, and a very good part of that book, I remember Issy mentioned that as well. For those of you that have read chapter 1, talking about do not complain, do not condemn, do not critique. Yeah, these are things which you also need to know as leaders and change makers. You know, it also gets to drop your standard when you do all these things. And empathy and communication is very, very key, most especially when you are working with a team. And this period, I know that many of us, we are working collectively as a team on various projects. And we definitely through till the end of the program, definitely there are several projects which you are going to be working on as a team. And this book is going to be a great learning guide for each and everyone. So if you've not started reading the book, it's very, very important. It's very, very important. And at the end of the month, you're also going to give a review of, you are going to do a personal review and share with us what you've learned so far in that book. And yeah, I won't disclose it now, depending on what the organization decides on. Definitely likely to be an assessment at the end of the month. So those of us that are just groups members that do not come for advanced trainings regularly, you have to tell them that they have to sit up. And yeah, and the remaining weeks of this program, they are going to be attendant. So it's going to be more serious. And some, well, I won't say this is not a threat anyway. It's not everybody that are going to move to the next phase. That's all the truth. So, okay, I can still see 2 hands up. Let me just take those 2 hands before we start today's training. Mohammed, do you want to say something? You can unmute your mic, or Abdullah, if you want to say something about the book. I believe that will also motivate others to get started and also learning on the book. Mohammed, Abdullah, do any one of you want to say something? You can unmute your mic and speak. Oh, Abdullah is off. Mohammed, do you want to say something? Okay, I believe I'm audible. Is that from me? Josiah said my voice is cracking. Check your network. I believe I'm audible. I will need someone to confirm that. You can please use the comment section, say yes, say no. I would like to confirm that. All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much for the confirmation. Yeah, that's fine. So, and before we move to today's session, I would like to also share some information as this has been also discussed, and it's very due we get you informed about this. That's the workshop series which you are to do. We believe that every team have their workshop series. I mean, your team, your day, and the event link, everything has been provided accordingly. However, it's very, very important for each and every, I think some emails are missed. There is no how your emails are going to be missed. Please, if you received email at the initial phase of this program, I mean at the development phase, and you've not been receiving email again, go and check your spam, check your promotions, check your socials, and enable that email as you know, when you see it in spam, so that it will not keep going to your spam box. So it's very important. Check your email. There are emails that are being sent on weekly basis. So if you've not been receiving, we advise you check your spam, your socials to have further information. Like I was saying regarding the series, for each and every team, we believe you already have your approved team, you have your approved date for the event, and it's very, very important for you to follow the right procedure. Your team leads are the one that you share this with the project. Okay, I'm trying to see, read what is on the comment section at the same time. And also, okay, let me just share this information first, then after we can take questions or share our concern in any area that you might have. So for the sessions, it's very, very important because there are some rules of engagement. So let's assume there is a team that wants to have their session this afternoon. Please, the team lead is meant to send 2 names. That's then plus your own personal name as the team lead, who are going to be the co-host of the session. So when you are to have your session by, let's assume you are to have your session by 1 p.m. today, West African time, you have to start your session exactly 12:55 p.m. And you have to share the names of those who are going to be the co-hosts to the session. And another thing is, please ensure that you have an image shared on your screen. That's if your speaker video is not on. Definitely, you should all be prepared to also ensure that your video is on, and most especially those who are going to be having their session, their webinar session at midnight. I mean at night, not midnight, rather, during the evening period. So it's very important you have your video on. And if you don't have your video on, it's very, very important you also ensure you have an image shared on your screen. You can get to practice and rehearse on that over time. Then as part of the process of these sessions which you want to engage on, please ensure you rehearse it. Ensure you make a good plan. Draw your timeline of activities before you start. I mean, before the main event. Yeah, it's very, very important.
Yeah,
know what you want to say and know how you want to get to engage in terms of timing, those who wants to speak, and the Q&A session. And also, we believe that each and everyone are expected to keep to time, and the official language is English. Please, most especially those of us from the maybe northern and southern part of Nigeria, or those of us from Rwanda, Uganda, different countries, the official language is English. And definitely there are people that are going to be joining from all other countries. So it's important you do this appropriately. And at the end of your session, you have to take a screenshot that carries the names of your team members. I mean, the name of everybody that participated in the session, because you are also going to be submitting a report at the end of the month detailing what your session, what exactly you did, and the success story attached alongside. So these are basic rules of engagement which you all need to note, and it's very important. I shared that this morning, and before we move on. And I would like to, at this point, if there is any question or there is any area of clarification which you want me to further provide or further speak on before our speaker commences our session for today, I would like to quickly take that. Yeah, I would like to quickly take that before we start. Okay, I can see one hand up. All right. Okay, Winfred, please, you can unmute your mic and ask your question.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Winfred. Yeah.
Okay. My question is, the 2 co-hosts, I think that's what you said you talked about. Are they going to be part of the presenters?
No, they are just serving as the technical team for your session. So they will be managing the technical activity should in case there are issues with network or sharing slides and the likes. So they are already the host and they can take control of what the Zoom session is. Yeah.
Okay, and secondly, sir, the program, must it be 2 hours? Hello? Can you hear me, sir?
Sorry, hello. Sorry, come again with your question. Winfred, the second question you asked? Hello, Winfred.
Okay, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes.
Okay. My second question is, must it be 2 hours? What if our section doesn't last up to 2 hours?
Yeah, it's very good. It's very good, but the time portion to your team is a maximum of 2 hours. So most session can be around 1 hour, 15 minutes. It might be around 90 minutes, but should not exceed that period, because at the expiration of that time, there is another team that wants to start 5 minutes before their session. So that's why they actually give that 30 minutes interval in between the expiration of a 90-minute session to the commencement of the next session, next team, which are going to be having their session.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, Naji, can you unmute your mic and ask your question?
Okay, can you hear me? Good morning, sir.
Good morning, this morning.
Yeah, thank you. My question is kind of a similar question to what she just asked. How many moderators are we supposed to be, and how many speakers are we to be in a particular group, and what will our session look like? Are we making a presentation of based on the workshop, like explaining what our solution and reports, or what our solution will be in regards to our own SDG program?
Okay, thank you for that question. The very first question you asked is the number of moderators that are meant to be on the session, the number of speakers that are meant to be on the session. You're expected to have a moderator. I don't know if you want to have a co-moderator, if that's important, depending on what your team decides. However, you are expected to have a minimum number of 3 representatives who are speakers at that session. I mean, for each of your session. Definitely, you are just having a series. It's still the same session you're having. So you are expected to have 3. So, and they are meant to be in-house men. I mean, they are meant to be amongst your team members. So, and you ask that what is the session, what is it meant to look like? We believe that you have things which you want to feature in your session, and you can have various series. And take, for example, if I want to coordinate a series today, I can decide to have a main speaker. We have a panelist session. I mean, a panel discussion and interactive session later, so that we get to have like 10 questions we are creating around that main topic. And we can have a main topic which we already have sub-teams. I mean, whereby we have different topics, and the 3 speakers are speaking to each of those sub-teams, and which provides detailed information, which provides solutions to I remember the thing that is working on youth and inequality in Africa. You know, when you talk about inequality, it's in different categories. It's just not on poverty alone. There are a lot of things to consider alongside with inequality. But when you talk about climate change, there are a lot of things you consider when you talk about climate change, or when you talk about issue of poverty. So you can decide to have sub-teams whereby each speaker is speaking to each sub-team, and all depends on what your team decides to feature in your series. And you can take it to have, you can have icebreakers, and you can have different things to make your session more lively and more impactful. But most importantly, it's the knowledge you are sharing to the general public, the sensitization which you are also providing, that capacity. Yeah, it's the most important thing. I believe I've been able to provide detailed answer to your question, Naji.
Yes, I've gotten the knowledge, or I've gotten what I asked for, and I think we'll work based on this now. We'll work based on it, and to ensure that our workshop move on smoothly. And the last question: the program, will it cover the whole members of the group, or just the speakers and the moderator or facilitator and other members of the program or the general group?
The the activity, your session involves the whole member of your the old project team. Let me use that word, no project team. So they are involved in it, they are involved in publicity, they are involved in planning, your maybe your preparation, they are all involved in it. Because your team lead, if you are the team lead, you're also going to submit a report at the end, and definitely they will share a report template with you. And most importantly, I've mentioned it, you need to have a screenshot of your session that carries the names of your team members that join the session. So ensure that you are very active and you participate through in this process. I can see it's 2 people on this call now, and we have over 200 people on that group. So like I mentioned, today, definitely attendance is going to start today. And though they've been taking track of those who have been attending the session from day one of from week 1 of this development phase, but we'll make it more formalized today.
Okay, so let me, the final question, sir.
Your questions are not final. Let's say you are about to take the final now. Okay, the last question.
Okay, sorry, sir. Just 2 questions in regards to the template, the pre-information or the timetable that was shared with us on their email. We are excited to present a report policy and a policy, and a solution report. So I want to know, what will the solution report be like? Because the solution report will be presented in October, and the policy will be presented in September. So I want to know the difference and the people that will participate in both of them.
Policy is not meant to be in September. It's not meant to be in September, and your report is not meant to be in October. So when we get there, we are going to inform you duly and ahead of time. Thank you for keeping to date, and yeah, so I'm keeping to date. But definitely, the communication team are going to inform you duly about that, and you have your email. Okay, can we take apologies if I mispronounce your name. From Uganda, you can ask your question. You can unmute your mic and ask your question.
Hello.
Yeah, all right. You can unmute your mic and ask your question, please.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone, the advocates. My question is, after the training that we have on 30th, should we expect a comprehensive evaluation, a report, and the feedback from the team to make us maybe realize and understand where we have done better, and actually, if possible, submitting all the responses and feedback from all the advocates for each SDG, so that we see and get guided by the team.
Sorry, you have to repeat that question again. You have to repeat that question again. I lose the very first part. You said after which training specifically?
The one we have for each SDG, the one of 30th September.
Okay. I think I get your questions now. And after the sessions which you want to do, definitely we are going to have a feedback. They are going to share feedback. You know, this is a learning process. And one thing which we also discover is because you've been doing some professional training now, and the management has decided that they are featuring some soft skills, in line to things that can help you, some power skills, which you really need to have, because even, I won't say email communication, some cannot write a very good email on this call. Some of the fellows on this call, and these are things which you are going to learn, and you are all going to learn various things during this advanced training session. So definitely areas which you are not performing well, we are going to let you know, and the review team are going to get you updated about that. I believe there are no more questions. I can see 2 hands up. Okay, I will just take them.
Okay.
That's Anolua and Godswill. Please quickly ask your question, Anolua, so that we can start today's session. It's been a long, but I'm happy that we're able to.
Okay, can you hear me? Good morning, everyone. Good morning, moderator.
Morning, Anolua.
My question has been answered. During the course of other participants asking questions, my question has been answered. Thank you.
Oh, awesome, awesome, awesome. All right. So can we have God's view?
Okay, good morning, everyone. Good morning, sir, Mr. Michael, and Mr. Emmanuel. Okay, mine is I'm just curious. You said not all of us on this development stage will move on.
Yes, yes,
What we got
absolutely.
was that the AI Dev plans to train, I think, 5,000 champions, SDG champions across Africa by 2024. And we are not even up to 1,000. And then you're still
Yes.
saying
So,
not all of us will move today.
you know what?
And I also want to know what could actually disqualify one from moving to the next stage. Like what could disqualify some of us here?
What could disqualify you moving to the next phase? All right. I'm going to respond to that. All right, that's fine. Malik, you can unmute and ask your question.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Oh, it should be an afternoon indeed. Good afternoon.
It's an afternoon. Will the webinars be open to anyone, or will it be only open to people in the groups? Like, can other people watch?
Okay, all right. That's a very sensitive question, Malik. Thank you for asking that. The webinar is not just for you. As soon as you have your flyer being shared, being approved, it's important to share across your social media platforms and get to engage your audience, your network, share it across your communities and let them join the session. So it's open to the general public. So my brother asked a question that what is going to disqualify, or what are the things they should watch out? Your participation, your active participation in the program is one of the major themes. And we believe that there was a performance growth report that I think they shared earlier in the month of August. Those of you, people that did not fill that form, you should know that automatically it's already affecting your gradings and it's already affecting your standing in the program. And yeah, towards the month of October, another review is going to be made. Yeah, like I mentioned, we have 200 people admitted on this development phase. You can see the number. I don't know those who are on YouTube. Yeah, I consider that there are some people on YouTube. However, it's very, very important. It's very, very important. The programs which you've been having for some weeks now, these are professional trainings that you get to spend hundreds of thousands on. And yeah, which we are just having for free. And the organization has done so well to see how we can bring the very best resource persons in each of this training. I remembered when that's the speaker for last week, when she was talking about design thinking. I know that many of us sees that topic looks somehow new to some of us, and it's very, very important. These are things you must not just learn once and for all. You have to go back to those videos and learn over and over again. Yeah, without taking much of our time, we are moving straight to today's session. Please, if there are other questions, I will appreciate you use the comments or use the community. You share on the community platform so that each and everyone can be aware about your questions, and those who also have similar questions can easily comprehend and also understand what the answer is. So this morning we are moving straight to this session, which is on project management and project and programs management. And we are so blessed to have an industry expert and also a leader, a diplomatic communicator in our midst this morning, in person of Madam Reinhard Amsu, who is a strategic and result-driven project management professional with over 10 years of progressively diverse experience in fast-paced organizations across the various industries. She is an articulated and diplomatic communicator, adept with managing all stages of project lifecycle with a diverse network of stakeholders. And this morning, we are so blessed to have Madam Reinhard Hamsu in our midst this morning. Thank you for joining this call, and we sincerely appreciate your presence in today's training. Thank you for joining. I want to be very sure that she's on the call. All right, over to you. Please, let's make welcome our speaker for today. Let's make welcome our speaker for today. I can't see our emojis. I can't see our comments. Let's make welcome our speaker for today. While she
Hello, everyone. Good
program.
morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from. Can everybody hear me? Please confirm that I am being heard.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, that's good to know. Hello, everyone. Good morning. I am currently in Nigeria, so it's morning here. So good morning, everyone. Good afternoon to those of you that are maybe on the eastern part of the continent. Good day, everyone, basically. So whatever time of the day it is, wherever you are, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm happy to meet all of you. Let's do maybe a little bit of housekeeping, so to speak. Where are you joining this call from? Let's take the next 2-3 minutes. Just drop it in the chat. Let's see where you're joining this call from. If you're joining in from Nigeria, be specific, city, country, Nairobi, Kenya, Uganda, Liberia, let's know. So I can see Gombe, Nigeria, South Sudan, Delta, Nigeria, Benin City, Nigeria, Kampala, Uganda, Bamenda, Cameroon. Welcome, 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 welcome. Let's keep it coming. Ethiopia, Uyo, Nigeria, Katsina, Nigeria, Kano, Nigeria, okay? I can see South Africa, Kisumu in Kenya, Durban, South Africa, Lilongwe in Malawi. Let's keep it coming. Okay, so hello everyone. So this tells us that we have a diverse group of people on this call today. So I want us all to be open-minded and understand that diversity is a major criteria to achieving harnessing our diversity is a major criteria to us achieving the tenets of the Sustainable Development Goals. So again, welcome everybody. Hello, let me see if I can pick a couple of names. Hello, Fatima. Hi, Sharifat. Ungayu Grace. Hello. Kabiru Adamu, it's good to meet you. Let's see. Inimini Obot, you're welcome. Onyeka Obi, Tades, Ethiopia, Mugis Alim, Tasiu Mustafa. Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's session. Okay, so we're going to have a very interactive session. So we're not going to be doing that. The speaker talks and then all of you just stare at me and then we go back and then you're asking me questions. So we're not going to spend 2 hours listening to me and 15 minutes listening to you. No, we're going to make this as interactive as possible. So please grab a cup of coffee if you need to. If you need to grab a cup of tea, please do. I need everyone on the call to be extremely active. It's important to me that everybody on the call is extremely active. So it's a conversation that we're having. We're not having a class, so quote and unquote. So yeah, welcome. Can I share my screen? Okay, please confirm that you can see my screen. I need comments in the chat.
You can see your screen.
Okay.
You can start the slideshow to make it more full.
Ah, okay.
All right, perfect.
Thank you. So project management and SDGs, bridging the gap. That's how I've decided to call today's conversation guide or the topic for today's conversation. But before we get in depth into what we're going to be unveiling, let's see. So have you ever heard project management? When you hear project management, what comes to mind? Let's see, drop that quickly in the chat. When you hear project management, what's that thing that comes to mind? I can't see any responses. Emmanuel, if you can see any responses, please help me, because I can't see any responses here.
Yeah, I think someone just dropped something now. From Favor, the activities involved in managing a project. how to manage specific tasks. Yeah, the comments keeps coming in over. And those of us on YouTube, you can use the comment section to drop your feedback or your answer.
Yeah, so Emmanuel, if you're able to help me with about 2 or 3, just so that we do some room check and be sure that the audience has an understanding, or so I know the level of breaking down I might need to do, so we have a very interesting conversation.
Yes, so we have from Udo Dream, the planning and implementing. Oh, I'm trying to see if she's sorry, I think our network, that should be a network issue. She should be back up shortly. You can just use the comment section to drop your answers in line to the question she asked. What comes to your mind when you hear the word project management? And while she's back on the call, she's going to pick it up from there. Okay, you can see different comments, different explanation and implementation and execution of projects and complex program activities. Chinelo, it's a systemic approach to initiating and completing a project. Awesome, yeah, fantastic. Those are good answers. Gift, the use of specific knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to deliver something of value to people, knowledge delivery. And we also have Taisu Mustafa. Project management means the ability and method to follow in order to manage projects successfully. Yeah, absolutely. These are great definitions from each and every one. Okay, I think I can read more. Project design and execution. Okay, these are various phases of project management that you've just assigned. Okay, from Mohammed, overseeing the overall implementation of projects, including financial, human, technical expertise from inception to close out. Oh, amazing. Yeah, that's a good one. Then we have great definitions, process of executing activities and complete project within a specific period of time. Okay. And Anulua said it's the initiation, planning, execution, monitoring, and controlling of a set of tasks to the closure of it. Yeah, those are awesome definitions from each and everyone. Okay, we have us. I think she's back on the call now, and she can unmute her mic and speak. And we also have, let me check one more answer from those of us on the call here. And those on YouTube would like to have your answers. If you those of us on YouTube, just share your answers through the comment section, and we are going to pick it up from there. Okay. And Sharifat said the use of skills, technique, and knowledge to achieve a particular project. Skills, knowledge, and techniques. Those are 3 powerful tools. And so you can commence now. I don't know if you can hear me, Reina.
Okay, so yes, I can hear you. And thank you everyone for those definitions. We have a lot of people that have some form of information, some sort of knowledge around project management. So yes, what will be our learning objectives for this conversation, right? We're going to, first off, we need to understand the concept of We need to understand the concept of sustainability and project management. We're also going to understand the key principles of project management in the context of the SDGs. And finally, we're going to understand how project management can be optimized, can be used to optimize benefit delivery for optimize benefit delivery of all of the sustainable development goals. So yes, those are our learning objectives for this conversation. Let's pick key definitions, right? So these definitions of project that I have here and definition of project management that I have here are as captured by the Project Management Institute, right? So a project, a temporary effort to create value through a unique product, service, or result. Keywords here, temporary, and keywords here, value. Keywords here, unique product, service, or result. So as project managers, in the context of project management, in the context of sustainable development goals, value is extremely important. We need to create value, we need to add value in all that we do. Project management. Someone said the use of skills earlier. Thank you. I mean, someone mentioned tools and techniques when I was looking through the comments. Thank you so much as well. So yes, project management is the use of specific skills, knowledge, tools, and techniques to deliver something of value to people. Again, this lets us understand that this brings up the conversation around value. So the entire context when it comes to project management is a lot of value add, right? And then finally, sustainable development, right? That's development geared towards fulfilling the needs of current generations. Forgive that error, I'm sure it must have been an oversight from my team. Geared towards fulfilling the need of current generations without compromising the needs of future generations, while ensuring a balance between economic growth, environmental care, and social well-being. So these are our key definitions, and these are the tenets of a large part of the conversations that we'll be having today. So yes, I understand that a lot of us are advocates of sustainable development goals. We have some form of interest or commitments as it relates to playing our part to achieve the sustainable development goals. And on my screen, we can see all 17 of them: no poverty, zero hunger, good health, and the likes. So again, let's see in the chat, which of these goals are you very passionate about? Let's drop it in the chat quickly, as that would also help our conversations. It will help the case studies that I'm going to pop up. It would help the examples that I'm going to give as well. I can see 13. 13 is climate action. Thank you. Quality education. SDG 17, partnership for the goals. Thank you. SDG 1, no poverty. 2, zero hunger. SDG 11, sustainable cities and communities. Thank you. 7, affordable and clean energy. That's noted. SDG 8, decent work and economic growth. Yes, I can see that as well. SDG 3, good health and well-being. Very true. We can't really add value for nothing else. SDG 6, clean water and sanitation. Okay. I'm hoping I see somebody that will say SDG 14, 15, 16. We usually don't have a lot of people that are passionate about those ones. I'm not exactly sure why. 16, very good. Anolu Abalogun, peace, justice, and strong institution. Thank you. Okay, there's somebody. Oh, people are just waiting for me to call you out. Again, it's going to be a very interactive class, so please don't shy away from adding your own thoughts to the conversation. 16, 13, climate action. Thank you. I can see 15 as well, life on land. Thank you. 12, responsible consumption and production. Okay. So yes, thank you everyone for giving me that feedback and insight as to the people that I have on the call and the SDGs that you are very passionate about. So I see that a lot of us are passionate about achieving all of these goals, and in the course of our conversation, we'll see how best product management contributes to you achieving these goals. So let's quickly talk about the project management knowledge areas, because as applying project management, to apply project management is even extremely important that you understand what the knowledge areas are. That's what your focus areas should be, right? The picture that I have on the screen is a very interesting picture because you can see that it is one person with multiple arms doing multiple things. That is, this picture depicts the life of a project manager. This picture depicts the life of someone who is adopting project management skills in whatever their roles are. So many a times, your title is not exactly project manager for you to be able to add value on projects. Your title is not project manager for you to be able to adopt these tools and skills that I would be sharing with us in the course of this conversation, right? But again, what is important is that you are applying the principles of project management, you're applying the tenets of project management in adding value, which is where we started this conversation from, value adds. So yes, you're going to be doing a lot of things. You're going to be juggling all of these balls, ensuring that they all stay afloat and you're not dropping any of these balls. So if project management is something that is very dear to you, if it's something if it's a career path that you're looking at pursuing, have it at the back of your mind that you're going to be juggling all of these 10 balls at the same time. So there are 10 knowledge areas for project management, right? In no particular order. So it's not like there's any order at all. It's just largely in the order of what comes up on my screen. I can see communication, right? And why, one of the reasons why this knowledge area is important to any project manager, right, is it's one of the greatest skill sets any project manager can have. It's something that you cannot do about. Your communication skills have to be excellent. I mean excellent, like 10 over 10 plus 10 minus nothing. Because communication with stakeholders, communication with the project team, communication with your clients, communication with any and everybody as it relates to adding value on the projects that you're working on or on the cost that you're running after. Communication is extremely important. Up next is cost. So there's the interesting thing about cost is your project sponsors they are on the top left grid of your stakeholder analysis. When I say top left, it means that they're high power and high interest people, right? High power, high interest, and they're sponsors. So it means that it is their money that is going to be running these projects. Many a times, people's money are involved. So it's possible that it's not exactly, for some projects, it's not exactly somebody's money, but there's no way to, there's always some sort of value adds when it comes to, or always some sort of cost, maybe not necessarily financial, but there's always some sort of cost attached to running projects. So that's why cost is extremely important. Managing cost is extremely important. It's a knowledge area that you really, really, really need to pay attention to in project management. Up next is the scope. So you need to know what exactly you're supposed to cover. I usually tell people that as young people, because even I myself, I'm still a very young person, but as young people, it's okay to not exactly know what you want. But it's extremely important to know what you do not want. So yes, many a times we'll have a lot of interest. There's, oh, it looks like this, oh, it looks like that. You're not exactly. But one thing you need to be very, 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 very clear about are the things that you do not want, which is where managing project scope comes to play, right? You know that because clients can be very, it is normal human nature, right? Our wants are insatiable. The client can decide one morning that, oh, this is how this thing is looking. Can we just change? So you see this front of my hair now, can I change it to blonde? Or I suddenly want this place to be red and yellow and green and purple. You know, those kind of things. Clients will come with all forms of requests. But being able to manage project scope properly is what helps you to be able to say, oh, hello, client, this is not part of the scope. You want us to range a change request for us to adopt this new requirement. And you know, that kind of a thing. Understand what the scope is, understand what you're supposed to cover when managing projects. Up next is quality, QA, quality assurance. Again, it will take us back to the conversation around value, because throughout this conversation, we're going to keep mentioning value, right? And if you're going to add value to people, if you're going to add value to people's life, if you're going to make remarkable impact with the projects that you are running on or working on. It's important that quality is top-notch. It's important that quality assurance is not toyed with, because at the end of it, that's what determines what the outcome of your projects will be. Up next is schedule, right? Schedule, last time. We just say, oh, time is money, right? So many at times we want to ensure that our end variance is usually a lot higher than, what's the word now? I'm trying not to use too many critical terms so that everybody on the everybody on the call understands me clearly. So schedule, right? Many a times you're ensuring that the costs and the budget. So the budget and the schedule, yes. So if you say that we are going to do this project in 53 days at 10 naira, ensure that on the 53rd day, your budget is at 10 naira. We don't want a situation where you are on the 40th day and your budget is already at 15 naira and things like that, right? So schedule is extremely important. Up next is risk. Risk is something that is extremely dear to me and a lot of project managers. I know a couple of project managers who their specialty is risk management, because no matter how simple, quote and unquote, your project is, there are always risks associated with it. From a project as simple as, let me see, what's the simplest kind of project that we can think of? So, okay, maybe paint my room, yes. Let's use an example, because everybody that can relate to painting their rooms. So the project is paint my room. There are a lot of risks associated to a project as simple, seemingly simple as painting your room, right? And an example is you go to the store, and then the paint that they show you on the catalog, say the color that you are showing on the catalog, by the time you bring it home and you put it on the wall, it doesn't come out the same, because maybe your wall was blue or your wall was green, and then you want a purple paint. Now, the previous background is going to, one way or the other, have an effect on what the output of this new color will look like, even if it's not exactly what you saw. That's one of the risks. Another risk is, say, your painter doesn't show up. Or another risk is the delivery van that is supposed to bring these paints, they're coming in 3 hours later, and it's Sunday evening, and it's Sunday morning, you need to get it painted and done with so you can prepare for work on Monday. Another risk could be that while painting, your painter falls off and you need to incur hospital bills. So there's risk associated to any and everything, right? There's high probability, low impact, low probability, high impact. Okay, let's not get into all of that. But by that, I mean that there are some risks that the probability is extremely low, but the impact is extremely high. And then there are some risks that the probability is quite high, but the impact is not low. So you're able to mitigate. You know whether you're mitigating the risk, whether you're transferring the risk. If there are ways to avoid the risk, you avoid it completely. Up next is integration management. That's another knowledge area of project management that's extremely important. Let's run through this quickly. And after that, we have resources, managing resources, especially as it relates to human resources, team management, team building, and things like that. Stakeholders. So yes, managing stakeholders. It sits very comfortably at the top of your priorities on managing projects, or it sits comfortably at the top of your priorities when it comes to, sorry, give me a moment. Where was I? Okay, yes. We were saying stakeholders, managing stakeholders, right? Extremely important bits of managing projects. And then procurement. Lastly, procurement. That's something else that is extremely important in your project management setup. So yes, let's look at methodologies, sustainable project management methodologies in the context of the Sustainable Development Goals. Right? There are a truckload of methodologies. So yes, I already reviewed the first one, which is the waterfall methodology. So again, let's have a few people in the chat say it. So for people that I know that some of you know what project management is or have heard of project management, or it's something that you just see that pops up on the internet. What methodologies have you come across as it relates to project management? Let's see. Drop it in the chat. Drop it in the chat. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. I have reviewed waterfall methodology, so we can't have that example anymore. Agile, thank you. Lean, thank you. Let's keep it coming. Let's keep it coming. The responses are not as fast. What's going on? Lean Sigma. Okay, no, so it's Lean Six Sigma, but yes, thank you, Mohammed Hassan from Ethiopia. Yes, Lean Six Sigma. Am I expecting any responses or can I move on? There are a lot of methodologies, but I'll just pay attention to, I think, 5 of them. For Kanban, thank you, Anoluwa Balogun. Kanban, yes. Agile, thank you, Chinelo. Okay, so that's about it. Agile, Lean Six Sigma, gifts from Tanzania. Scrum, Sharifat from Nigeria, thank you so much. Scrum again from SA Ogene. So yes, thank you. I see that some of us have some form of knowledge as it relates to project management methodologies. So the first one, critical part, Kanban, Scrum, thank you for all of your responses. It's the waterfall methodology, right? And this deals with, so the definition says a sequential linear approach where each phase must be completed before the next begins. This means that there's a finish to start sequence. Many a times it is finish to start. There's that sequence of finish to start for waterfall methodology. So there are a couple of sequences. There's finish to start, there's start to start, there's finish to finish, there's start to finish, and things like that, right? Well, for a lot of projects that are adopting the waterfall methodology, it's usually a finish to start sequence. It means that one phase of the project has to finish, many a times finish conclusively for the next one to start. Examples, okay, no, so it says is well suited for projects with well-defined requirements and limited changes. And it's commonly used in industries like construction and manufacturing. So yes, takes us back to my comment on it being a finish to start sequence kind of methodology. So let's give an example in construction. You know that there's no way you're roofing a building if you've not finished the foundation. So yes, the foundation is first. We're going to finish the foundation before we can now think of superstructures, substructures, we're building walls, we're demarcating and things like that. Same with manufacturing. You know that if you're manufacturing soap, for example, if you've not mixed, if this phase where you're mixing your chemicals and adding ingredients is not finished, you cannot go through the phase of solidifying or deciding on the shape or packaging it and things like that. So it's a case of, it's a methodology that gives very well-defined requirements. You know how all of it is going to happen. You know when all of it is going to happen, and things like that, right? That's that about the waterfall methodology. The next methodology is the agile methodology, which is something that a lot of projects in recent times are beginning to lean towards because it seems to be a more receptive. It seems to be a more receptive methodology in project management. There's a lot of, I was smiling because there's a lot of controversy around which of these methodologies is superior and things like that. But that's not the tenet of this conversation. That's not our conversation. Each methodology has stronghold, and that's what the focus should be. The agile methodology is an iterative approach to project management. It focuses on continuous incremental improvement to small and frequent releases. It means that we are going to this is a methodology that focuses on, again, continuous. You can see that I have highlighted the continuous incremental improvement through small and frequent releases. The first industry that comes to mind when you hear agile is software development. It means that they're going to, there's the UI bit, there's the UX bit, there's the front end bit, there's the back end bit. So we need to manage deliverables in iterations. So you present a phase to your project sponsor or client to say, oh, this is what we've come up with in the last 20 weeks. Do you have any additions, subtractions? You know, it's usually around projects where requirements can evolve. So it's possible that we set out and the objective is to build a software where, so say for example, for the SDG on health, we're managing health, I think that's 4, if I'm correct. If I'm wrong, please put the correct one in the chat. But the SDG on health, if we decide that we're going to build a software to track vaccination in maybe Kampala. So we want to build a software to track vaccination in Kampala. Say the idea is to maybe build an app and then have people download the apps, say nursing mothers or new moms, or even, moms basically to say, oh, because one of the challenges in my experiences working across all of the industries that Manuel read earlier, one of the challenges with vaccination, especially as it relates to the health, is moms not being able to track vaccination data and things like that. So let's give the example of, we want to build a software or an app that helps mom remember vaccination dates of their children. So of course, we have gathered requirements. There's the requirements gathering phase. What would this app do? What will we need to have? So we probably need to impute maybe Google Calendar or Calendly or any form of calendars, right? So that I can manage dates, right? And then we get to the bit where what would it look like? What would be the colors? Things like that. So how this kind of methodology works for that kind of case study would be that, oh, you don't want to wait until the app is completely ready to go live before you bring it back to your client. What that means is the points where you have done the UI UX bit, that part where you've done, you take it to your client and say, oh, hello client, this is what we've done. We have proposed this UX, we have proposed this UI, these are the colors and things like that. That way, there's some kind of analysis to say, oh, great, nice work you've done. But for this approach, it's probably easy to work with this kind of app that requires so much data for the moms in Lagos. But can we do something about the data requirements for the moms in maybe Jigawa or Kebbi? So of course, I don't have data to back this up, but it's assumed that people in Lagos have a lot more access to data, internet data and things like that. But for people in the remote areas, you want to, as much as possible, not use that you just use data as a restriction to them getting value. So you probably want to touch on the requirements around saying, oh, so maybe for the people in this location, we're going to reduce the number of megabytes that is required for the app to load, if that's possible. I'm not a software engineer, but I'm giving an example so you're able to understand the methodology that I'm describing. Or you just want to completely bring down the number of megabytes. You get that problem out, you take it back to the team. Remember that we did not envisage what the entire process was going to look like. It was let's do it in bits and see how it comes up. And then, at some point you want to know whether it can run on a phone, mobile phone, whether it will run on laptops and things like that, right? The requirements will keep evolving until you get the value that you're proposing for your project. It emphasizes a lot of collaboration, customer feedback, and adaptability. That's why you have a lot of getting back to the client. So your client, many a times, for projects that are largely focused on the agile methodology, your clients would have a team member. So there's a member of the team, of the delivery team, that is usually on the client side. So they're constantly in touch with you. There's a lot of feedback and collaboration with the client. The next methodology is the Lean Six Sigma. So yes, there's the Lean and then there's the Six Sigma. But in this case, we're merging, for the purpose of this conversation, I'm going to just I'm just going to have this methodology stated as Lean Six Sigma, right? It's a hybrid initiative that identifies customer desires, eliminates waste, and reduces variability. It combines Six Sigma's structured problem solving using statistical tools with the lean operations emphasis on flow improvement. So this methodology functions by streamlining business processes and eliminate defective products and minimizes waste. When I hear Lean Six Sigma, something that comes very straight to mind is food security. food security and eliminating waste, it comes, one thing that comes to mind is manufacturing. So for people that are very passionate about SDG 2, which is zero hunger, that I'm sure about. If I'm wrong, please put it in the chat. But yes, so the SDG on zero hunger, if for the people that are very passionate about that's achieving that SDG or making an impact in line with the targets and tenets of the SDG 2, this is a project management methodology that you probably want to pay lots of attention to. So yes, you want to focus on being well-rounded, but a specialty, so to speak, in Lean and Six Sigma is something that would work extremely well for you. So for those that want to do, yes, again, for those that are passionate about SDG 2, especially, of course, it applies to a couple of other SDGs. But SDG 2, yes, Lean Six Sigma is something that works. So again, I was talking about food security. We're streamlining the processes. We're eliminating waste completely as much as possible. You're eliminating waste to the barest minimum. So all the way from food production to food distribution to consumption of the food, there's a lot of waste. There's a lot of waste in all of that process. I don't know if it was this same event, but I know that I had some presentation with a team around the United Nations on project management for food security, I think early this year or sometime last year. And that was one presentation that detailed a lot of using this approach to manage food security and achieving the SDG 2 specifically. The next approach is Scrum. Now, the thing with Scrum is a specific agile framework. It focuses a lot on that, or weekly sprints and things like that. So the iterations are built such that it is time-based. So there's a lot of time-boxed iterations. You're having daily stand-ups, sprint planning, sprint reviews. So everybody is largely in touch with each other. The team is always in touch. And then it is widely used in software development. That's the Scrum methodology. Okay, so up next, the hybrid approaches. Now, the hybrid approaches means that we can use a combination of many of these approaches to achieve what we want, to get the value that we need to drive. So we're combining the elements of the multiple methodologies. So you want to use, maybe for a particular phase of the project, you want to focus largely on the waterfall. Then you move into Agile, maybe you adapt Scrum, or maybe Kanban and things like that. So you use a multitude of methodologies to achieve what you want. So again, like I mentioned earlier, there's a truckload of methodologies for project management, but it is those 5 that we're going to be looking at for the sake of this conversation. So before I move on to the next section in my presentation, let's have it in the chat. Let's see in the chat which of these methodologies best work for the SDG that you're passionate about. So let's see. So I want you to say Agile methodology for SDG 2, or hybrid for SDG 1, or Lean Six Sigma for SDG 11. Let's see it in the chat. Quickly. We have 45 seconds to run through it. That tells me that everyone is still on the call and the conversation is ongoing. Agile for SDG 4, thank you. Agile for SDG 16, Lean Six Sigma SDG 2. Agile methodology, thank you. Waterfall for SDG 6, Nima Jackson, thank you. SDG 4, Agile. Scrum SDG 3, Anuoluwa Okweni. Okay. Let's keep it coming. We have a few more seconds before we move to the next one. Agile for SDG 4, that's you, Mustafa. Teresa, Agile for SDG 4. Olabode Steven, Agile for SDG 9. Okay. Agile for SDG 4, Zimuzo Chukwu. Sabidu Amza, Agile for SDG 4. Kautar Suleiman, Agile for SDG 13. Thank you. Let's keep it coming. Let's keep it coming. So does it mean that we don't have people that want to consider the hybrid approach? Lean Six Sigma for SDG 2, Sani Awal. Yes. Agile for SDG 4, hybrid for SDG 5, Nyamaizi. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrongly. Joanne from Uganda. Hybrid for SDG 5. Tadese, hybrid for SDG 13. Thank you. Hybrid for SDG 3. Lean Six Sigma for SDG 2. Thank you. Hybrid for SDG 5. Seriki Damilari. Kwaje Ilari. Thank you. Gift. Thank you. Gift Marando. Waterfall for SDG 6. Thank you. Agile for SDG 4, hybrid for SDG 4, hybrid for SDG 8. Thank you. So it means a lot of us are following. Thank you for all of that feedback. Let's talk about project management tools that we're going to be are to be adopted for in the context of the Sustainable Development Goals. And the idea of running us through the methodology tools and then the outcomes, get to the outcome of project management, just so that we have an overview of the things that we should be paying attention to. So again, like I said earlier, some of you were able to relate your methodologies to the SDGs that you're passionate about. The same thing that we're going to do in this section on the project management tool. Right? So there are 1,000,001 project management, 1,000,001, in fact, 1,000,000,001. But I've streamlined this to a few, maybe about 10, 15 of them, so that you can do a lot more research on your own. But this gives an overview of the project management tools that will work for virtually any and every of the SDGs that you're passionate about. That's the scope management plans. So again, remember that I mentioned earlier when I was talking about the knowledge areas that I mentioned scope, that it's okay to know. It's okay to not know what exactly you want, but it is not okay to not know what you don't want. If there's something that is extremely important that you know it, oh, maybe I don't exactly know what I want, but I know exactly what I do not want. It gives clarity, it helps with schedules, it helps with budgets and things like that. It helps you manage every aspect of your project when you understand the things that are out of scope, which is where the scope management plan is coming. So there's a plan as to how you're going to manage, there's a plan as to how you're going to manage the scope of the project. There's resource allocation, extremely important, right? This is it's the law of economics. You would never have enough resources. There are never enough resources. So for those of us that are Nigerians, I'm sure we can relate to this example. If you go to an Owambe, right, and you hear that at this Owambe, they killed 7 cows for a 300 guest Owambe. I can bet you that at the end of that wedding, if every attendee were to take a survey, somebody will tell you that, oh, I didn't get to eat, or I didn't get this item or this item, right? That's to tell you that no matter how much resources you think that you have, you never have enough resources. So it's important, it's extremely important that you pay attention to the tool that you're using for resource allocation. So you probably want to do a more detailed plan as to who gets what when, who needs what when. So there are some cases where we'll say this team, for example, this team needs a bus to convey them to a location in Durban, for example, say a remote area in Durban, South Africa, say, or maybe Johannesburg. Johannesburg is the city. I'm looking for another city out of Nigeria that is not exactly, so maybe Takoradi in Ghana, for example. So you have 3 teams. One is to work in Accra, another will work in Takoradi, and another will work in the Cape Coast, for example. And then you have 3 teams. You have 2 buses. The office is in Accra, right? And then you have 2 buses. I'm trying to paint a picture around resource allocation. Of course, you know that Takoradi is maybe about 5-6 hours from Accra. And Cape Coast is maybe another 3-4 hours from Accra as well. Remember that you have 2 buses, right? And you have 3 teams, and all 3 teams need some sort of logistics plans to get to their locations, to carry out surveys or carry out some sort of monitoring and evaluation activity, right? A good way to manage that resource, which is the 2 buses that you have, because your office is in Accra, is to say, oh, Team Takoradi and Team Cape Coast, please take the buses. Team Accra, we can get you Uber to move you around, right? Or things like that. Or we can always get Uber or Bolt or whatever options that you have in Accra to move people around. But if you give the 2 buses to the team, one to the team in Takoradi and another to the team in Accra, it means they are going to be incurring a lot more expense. They are going to opt for Uber or any other alternative to take people all the way to Cape Coast and Takoradi. Right, that paints a good picture, I assume, or I believe. So yes, resource allocation, making the best use of what you have. Integration management plans comes up next. And examples of these are project roadmaps and things like that. So you have, this gives everybody an overview of what to expect when. So you don't have to do too much of, also what's next, also what's next. There's a plan from the onset. Everybody can see it. Many a times in project offices, when you work in projectized environments or organizations that are largely project-based, you see a lot of these pictures or these graphs or these charts on the walls in the room. So when you walk into a project office, you can see that, oh, this is the project that they're working on. This is what time they will be on this point in the project. For risk management, so yes, your risk registers, your mitigation actions. Again, there are also tools that you need to consider. So a risk register, yes, has all the risk that you can possibly think of while commencing that project are documented in that risk. And what your mitigation actions will be. Remember that I said, oh, you have the option of avoiding the risk, transferring the risk, accepting the risk. You know, there are a lot of risk management mitigation actions as well. So you want to do an analysis of all the risk in the register and decide what your mitigation actions will be. There's task and schedule management, that's Gantt charts, Kanban boards, and the likes. Workflow management and automation, work breakdown structures, activity logs, there are a lot of tools as well that need to be adopted. And yes, so there's project calendars, critical parts, the floats, task monitoring and dependencies. I mentioned this earlier when I was talking about the start to finish, finish to start, start to start, finish to finish approaches, right? So there are some projects that the next phase can start even while the current phase is still on, right? And then there are some projects that you need to finish this current phase before you can start the next one. And there's some projects that all the phases can start at the same time, right? That's the start to start phase. And then there are some projects that you need to finish for the next one to finish as well. So there are lots of dependencies around it. These are tools that are extremely important for project management. Quality management plans, processing, storage, preservations, risk management plans. Stakeholder analysis, yes, I mentioned earlier, high power, high interest, high power, low interest, low power, high interest, low power, low interest. So you need to do a lot of stakeholder analysis to understand which of your stakeholders you should be paying a lot more attention to. Then the stakeholder engagement, procurement management plans, change management plans, and things like that, right? Quality management plans, so you have specifications for products and services, customer focus and requirements, and continuous improvement. So all of these tools, again, they're a truckload of tools. So maybe after this session, you probably want to go online and say project management tool for SDG 8 or SDG 9. You get a lot of options that I really advise that you begin to pay attention to. Okay, so before we move to the next phase on the presentation, let's see in the chat. If you have questions, please drop your questions in the chat. I'm sure Emmanuel is compiling them for me and we'll take them at the end of the session. So let's see in the chat, which of these tools are you able to use for the SDG that you're working on or that you're passionate about? Let's see in the chat. Let's drop them in the chat. Scope management plans, risk registers, let's see. I need to be sure that we're following and we understand this conversation. Again, I mentioned earlier that it's going to be a very interactive session. So let's keep it at that. So let's keep it at that. Let's see. I'm not seeing any responses in the chat. Is it my network? Integration management plan for SDG 4, policy management plan for SDG 17. Okay, Joy Bako says, please repeat the stakeholder analysis you mentioned, high power, high interest. What are the others, please? Oh, high power, high interest, high power, low interest, low power, high interest, and low power, low interest. Yes, those are the four. High power, high interest, high power, low interest, low power, high interest, low power, low interest. Those are the four. Integration management plan SDG 4. That's you, Mustafa. Thank you so much. You've been very active on the call. Please don't write on my screen, whoever is writing on my screen. Anu Balogun again. Thank you so much for being active on the call. Policy management plan for SDG 17. All of the tools for SDG 3. Thank you, Kesta from Kenya. Schedule management for SDG 4. Stakeholder analysis for SDG 3. Integration management plan, project roadmaps for SDG 4. All the tools are critical. Yes, Joanne, I agree. Integration management for SDG 3. Thank you again, Mini Obot. I think I've seen that name before. Integration management plan for SDG 6. All of the tools for SDG 13. Stakeholder analysis, integration management plan for SDG 4. Okay. Please go back to the slide. Oh, project management knowledge areas. Oh, that's okay. So what I can do, Akedu Baye from Ethiopia. If you drop your email address in the chat or you send it to me, I can forward this. So everybody is expected to get a copy of this presentation, I believe, Emmanuel, am I correct? So we will all get a copy of this presentation as long as you registered for this event and the organizers have your tickets. So there's really nothing to worry about. Package Dubai. Don't take us all the way back to the knowledge areas, please. Thank you. But if you drop your email, I must send you a copy. Or if you leave a message for me on LinkedIn, it's Amusu Rihanna. That's what you find on LinkedIn. If you drop a message for me on LinkedIn, I will share it with you there. Integration management and stakeholder analysis for SDG2. You want the slides, Joy Danladi. Okay. You should get it from the organizers, but if you do not get it, please send me a message on LinkedIn. It's Rihanna Tamusu on LinkedIn. If you leave a message for me on LinkedIn, I will share it with you. I'm seeing the email addresses. Please look for me on LinkedIn and send me a message. There are a lot of emails in the chat, so I cannot, I'm not sure I'll be able to.
Let me just come in that regard.
Thank you, Emmanuel.
That we all have the procedure of getting the slides. It's always in your resource folder on the drive. So after each session, except for the sessions that the facilitator do not grant sharing his slide, or maybe he or she sent a link. So those are the sessions whereby you need to check online yourself. And she has already said she is going to share this, and you can always download it in the resource folder. So please stop sharing your emails. Don't share your emails. However, it's important you also connect with her and further engage and learn more from her. Please, I would like to call your indulgence to, we have just 8 minutes more for this so that we can also take
more questions and answers.
Yeah.
Thank you for calling my attention to that, Emmanuel. So let's run through. So yes, we talked about methodology, we talked about the tools. What are the outcomes of optimized project management? And this is the interesting part. So all of the grammar that I was talking about earlier, how exactly does this benefit us as SDG advocates? That's what we're getting into, and that's the final part of the presentation. So again, what are the outcomes, right? The outcomes of strengthening the efficacy, efficiency, and sustainability of projects across multiple sectors and industries. It shows that project management plays a crucial role in promoting the SDGs. If projects that are managed with a primary focus, they usually turn out to have effective instruments for accelerating global progress towards a more equitable and just future, which is what everybody on this are fighting for. So let's run through some of these outcomes quickly in the 8 minutes that we have left. So first off is efficient resource allocation, right? If you're able to use these tools and methodologies efficiently and properly, you have efficient resource allocation. It means that your funding, materials, human resource, they are optimized, thereby minimizing wastes and maximizing project impact. Another outcome is timely delivery. Timely delivery, if you mentioned earlier, your project is bound to be delivered on time, so you're on top of your schedule, right? Which is very crucial, as the SDG targets, many of them are time bound. There's a timeline as to when we should have achieved all of the targets on all of these SDGs to ensure that we're making the required impact that is desired. Up next, you have effective stakeholder engagement. So you're able to stay in touch with your stakeholders. Your stakeholders know what you're doing. You have improved collaboration with the people that you're working with, the government, the NGOs, businesses, private organizations. Whoever you're working with, you have effective stakeholder management with them. Up next, we have sustainability integration. It means that everybody is happy. So the people, the environment, and the processes, right? Everybody is happy, everybody is properly integrated. The principles of sustainability are integrated, are buried into your friendly. You have adopted socially responsible practices that align with the SDG objectives as well. Up next is clear project objectives and impact. So you have your objectives become extremely clear, and the impact is also very, very direct, right? It makes it easier to even measure and report on project impact. So that's another outcome of optimized project management. Risk mitigation and adaptability. Yes, so when you use your a clear insight as to how to mitigate your risk or how to adapt to the risk that you can't exactly do away with. And this ensures that your projects remain resilient and adaptable to changing circumstances, because change is inevitable. So a lot of things will change over time. But if you have your risk mitigation and adaptability properly done, you have really no need to worry about, because you would have addressed a lot of the challenges and uncertainties that are probably related to your project. Up next is quality assurance, right? You are proud to say, oh, this is the project that I have worked on, because you are very sure about the quality of work that you have put out. So for sectors like infrastructure, healthcare, education, there's a direct impact on whatever SDG targets that you're working on as it relates to quality assurance. Up next is data-driven decisions. So rather than make general assumptions to say, oh, a lot of women in their 40s are usually a size 14. That could be true, but many times it could be not true, because I have a lot of women in their 40s who are size 8 as well. So data-driven decision making, it means that we have, when you adapt these methodologies and tools adequately, you're making decisions based on data. You're talking facts. There are no assumptions, so to speak, right? Up next is social inclusion and community empowerment. So everybody is carried along. Everybody is empowered in decision-making progress. Everybody feels like what we've done works for all of us. It prioritizes social inclusion a lot. It means that there's a lot of attention to marginalized and vulnerable communities as well. That's a very, very important outcome of project management for the SDG. Up next is ethical and responsible practices as well. So if you again adopt the tenets of the methodologies and the tools that I have described in the course of this conversation, it encourages ethical behavior, because you have insight as to what is expected. So there's things like fair labor practices, responsible sourcing, anti-corruption, right? Anti-corruption especially. and then all of the other ethical principles that underpin to a lot of the SDGs, right? That's another outcome that you get. Transparent and accountable processes. Again, this is tied to ethical. It's tied to ethics, like we mentioned earlier. The process is transparent. There's accountability, so everybody is able to everybody's able to work towards compliance with the SDG values. Up next, which is finally, is that you have maximized impact on the SDG. So it ensures that your project makes the greatest contribution by aligning with your objectives, your processes, and outcomes as it relates specifically to the goals and targets of your SDGs. So on this, quickly, before we wrap up. So what will be the next steps? What's my advice for next steps before we go into your questions? So I really would advise that you invest in online courses and other free resources available, right? Beginner project managers, or people that are interested in project management to add value in their role. Please go online and type PMI kickoff course. It's 45 minutes. It takes you roughly an hour or less if you're a very fast learner. And it gives you a very, very detailed, clear template that you can use for any of the projects that you're working on. It's very easy to use. It's a simple procedure. You're not paying for it. It's extremely free. So if you need to take next steps as to what your project management journey should be as it relates to achieving your SDGs that you're passionate about, that's a good place to start. The PMI kickoff course is a good place to start. There are a lot of other free online resources that you can adopt. Be deliberate about your project management journey. Be very, very deliberate. If you need to reach out to mentors, please reach out to them. If you need to be more vocal, if you need to take trainings, please invest in yourself. And then lastly, stay connected. Stay connected to communities. I'm a huge fan of communities, right? So if you probably Google me, or maybe make some research, you find out that I belong to a lot of communities. I always stay in touch with people. I'm a strong advocate of people are your greatest resource. So please stay connected. If there are communities that you need to join, please join these communities. If there are people that you need to reach out to, there's a lot of strength in numbers. So stay connected. Reach out to me on LinkedIn. You get to see the serious me on LinkedIn. You get to see the not too serious me and extremely serious me on Instagram. So if you use Instagram as well, you said you find me. I'm a hodophile, so I travel a lot as well for adventure. So you see all of that on Instagram, but you won't find that on LinkedIn anyways. So yeah, stay connected, reach out to people on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, whatever works for you. Please stay connected and continue the conversation. Ensure that these conversations around project management continue as it relates to the SDG. And yeah, it's a wrap. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. I hope that this has been extremely insightful. Let's see the questions. Emmanuel, were there any questions that you were able to pick on in the course of the conversation, or are we throwing it open to the audience? Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for this insightful and engaging session, Renard. We sincerely appreciate. Please, can we appreciate our facilitator for today? Let's show some love. We sincerely appreciate the knowledge which you've shared with us this morning or afternoon from wherever across different countries our participants are joining from, and taking us through the process of project management, the various tools, methodologies of project management. Like I mentioned during our conversation, project management is something you get to learn even over a year. You keep learning over and over. And I want to say to each and everyone on this call, it's one of the greatest tools and skills you need to possess, you need to have as a development advocate or enthusiast. Right about now, we are going to be taking questions. If you have a question, those of us on YouTube, please use the comment section to drop your question, and it's going to be shared with our facilitator, and she will definitely do justice to responding to these questions. And for those of us on Zoom, you can raise your hand if you want to ask your question. But please, while asking your question, you just have 30 seconds to ask your question. Give a summary of what your question is, and she is going to respond to that. And I will also like to note that I would also like to inform that the link, like I earlier mentioned, it's been decided that we are going to be having the tracking and evaluation form being shared at each and every session. Please ensure you fill it before you leave the training, and you are not to share it on the WhatsApp communities. Please don't do that, because if you do that, you are going to be penalized. Don't do that. So if you have a question, please raise your hand. For those of us on YouTube, you can use the comment section to ask your question, and this is going to be attended to by our trainer for today. Okay, I want to see who's going first. Is there anyone that wants to ask a question? You can raise your hand in line to the training for today. Okay, I can see Winfred. You can unmute your mic and ask your question, please.
Can you hear me, ma?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good morning, ma. We really appreciate your lecture. It's so insightful. So my question is, particularly for me, it's kind of my first time to get such a lesson. So for someone who is still new in these project management tools and the rest, what can the person search maybe online to learn more, maybe from the foundation? Because this, it seems a little bit heavy for someone like me, you understand? So I would love to learn from scratch. Thank you, ma.
Okay. Emmanuel, do you want to take all of the questions, or should I answer as it comes?
You can answer this while we just take some other questions after.
Okay, so thank you, Winifred, for that question. Where is a good place to start? So that, because yes, I completely agree that there's over information as well. There's that menace of over information where you're looking for something and then there's so much that you get overwhelmed. Like I said in the course of my presentation, right? There are a lot of free online resources. Even on LinkedIn, some of these resources are free if you use LinkedIn Learning, right? And then from time to time, I know that they open these presentations to the general public. So you probably want to take a look at that. So go to LinkedIn Learning, go to Coursera, go to Udemy. There are lots of free courses. You see some of them are foundation. So you see foundation courses on project management. You see courses like that. You Google things like foundation courses of project management, or project management fundamentals, or things like that. It's a good place to start. So go to pmi.org. Yes, pmi.org. You go to pmi.org, create an account. You can create a free account. There's the option of creating a free account. Create a free account and navigate the website. I'm sure you find PMI kickoff course. That's a very simple place to start. It's a 45 minutes beginner course on project management. Thank you, Winifred. I hope that works.
Yeah, perfectly. Thank you for that response. And I feel maybe later in the course of the week, we also get to bring one of the PMI stakeholders on board.
Oh, great.
Information.
So you get all of the details that you need from them.
Having a professional certification as a project management professional.
Yeah.
So I can see Braye and from Ethiopia. Please, you can unmute your mic and ask your question. I assume that will be the last question for today. You can ask your question in 30 seconds, please.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, hello everyone. This is Kadu Baye from Ethiopia.
Yeah. Thank you for joining the session.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, okay, thanks so much. Thank you so much, Arana. It is a wonderful and insightful presentation just regarding about this goal. My question is regarding about this project management session is just have the 17 sustainable goal. So which is related for that project management session is related for the 17 sustainable goals. The second question is regarding about, or basically in Ethiopia, most of the startup companies is started and at a stage which is like started, but also at the end of which is just.
Emmanuel, can you hear him? Because I can't hear him clearly on my end.
Can you hear me? I don't know, but just I think for you or type report is a question. My question.
Just ask your question. We can hear you. Ask your question.
Oh, okay.
Okay. My question is, I have two questions. The first question is, this project management session is, which is related for the 70 sustainable goal. Which sustainable goal is related for this project management session? And the second question is, basically in Ethiopia, most of the time startup companies have started. So at which just as a few stages go there. After that, the top report is the companies or the startup businesses. So it is what is the case? What is the weakness or the backfill of that? What do you suggest for this? Like, thanks so much.
Okay, so I'm sure that I got the first question clearly, which is I think something around which of the SDGs does project management align with? Was that what you heard as well? So yes, if that's the question, project management. So I would say that project, maybe you probably didn't join us from the onset. Project management is the life. Project management applies to every. Project management applies to every aspect of your life. So there's a book to tell you how much of a life skill project management. There's a book called Project Management for Parents. Right, so that's to tell you that even in your journey of parenting, there's a need to have project management. Project management is a life skill. It applies to every aspect of life. So all of the SDG goals, all of the SDG goals, right, would require some efforts as it relates to project management. So yes. For the second question, it was something around Ethiopian companies requiring some project management skills. Is that correct? Is that what you heard as well, Emmanuel? So unfortunately, I'm not able to answer as to what the practices are in Ethiopia because I'm not Ethiopian and I don't have too much information on what the business processes for your country will be. But if there's any requirement around project management skills or knowledge or tools, it's most likely the same things that we talked about. If you have certifications that cuts across board, I'm sure that would be some sort of resource that you can present to this company or businesses for them to accept you into their project management units or things like that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for these insightful responses which you've shared. And we sincerely appreciate your engagement today. It's been a great session indeed, mind-blowing, and we sincerely appreciate every part of the knowledge which you shared with us today. And on behalf of the leadership of ADEV Africa, we want to say thank you for joining today's session, and thank you for accepting our invitation to come on board to facilitate today's session. And we look forward to having you in some future events and all other engagements in line to achieving sustainable development. Yeah, and I dare changemakers, we believe it's been a wonderful session and it's been a great value for your time today. And yeah, join us same time next week, moving on to the next session. And I'm not going to disclose what the next session is going to be. Might be, from every week it has been over and over, it keeps getting better over and over. So, and later during the course of the month, we get to learn some soft and power skills, which we can also get to advance our activities and get to achieve better in development space. Thank you so much, our facilitator.
Thank you.
Appreciate your presence, and to all.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. And thank you to everybody on the call. Thank you so much. Chinazo Ezim, you've been very active on this call as well. I think that you were paying a lot of attention. Thank you, Chinazo. Thank you, Anuoluwa. Thank you, Mustafa. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you. The names are endless, but thank you so much, all of you, for joining the call. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
Bye-bye. Please, before you all leave the session, it's important you fill the tracking and evaluation form. This has been shared, and those of us on YouTube, it has been pinned, and you can see it at the top left corner of your screen. Those of us on Zoom, ensure you fill that form before you leave to this training. It's very, very important. And if you have any other question, or you need any clarification as regards the next phase of the activity of the program, please feel free to reach out on the community while the program officers are going to respond to you accordingly. It's been shared. It's been shared. Please don't ask well the form. It's check the comment section. It's been shared. So it's very, very important you fill that out and get to engage actively in your team. So it's very, very important. Engage. By now, we believe that you should have the contact of everybody on your team. You should have their contact. You should know them by their first name, and you should be able to get to engage each other and collaborate on different activities, even beyond what you are doing on this program. So, and also you should be able to win grants together as well. So those are the things we are looking forward to you achieving during the course of this program individually. All right, I've missed previous slides. You are going to see all the slides. You are going to see it in the learning resource link, which will always be shared with you. Maybe the next email communication will inform the communications officer to ensure the learning resource link is being added there. Thank you, everyone. It's been an amazing time, and we look forward to having the next session next week, 10 a.m. West Africa time. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.